Hi friends! Today we're turning ordinary Crayola markers into watercolor magic with these simple origami style pumpkins. They're the perfect fall decoration, simple, fun, and the best part, you don't need any real watercolor paint. Let's get started. If you don't own fancy watercolor palettes like this, or they're just not in the budget, Crayola markers are a fantastic alternative. They're washable, easy to find, and they react beautifully with water. You can grab Crayola markers almost anywhere, but I actually found mine at Dollar Tree along with this great 24-pack of watercolor paper for just $3. Since we're making pumpkins, I'm sticking to fall-inspired colors, warm oranges, yellows, browns, and a little blue for contrast. For our painting surface, I like to use aluminum foil instead of wax paper. You can use wax paper, but because we're using water, foil holds up better and doesn't warp as easily as wax paper does. To get started, take your markers and literally draw all over the foil. Totally random, no rules here. Just fill up the surface with a bunch of color. Next, grab a spray bottle filled with water and lightly mist the foil. You'll see the colors start to blend and pool together, and that's exactly what you want. Now you're going to press your watercolor paper face down onto the wet foil and gently lift it up. Instant watercolor print. It's really cool to see the different designs and how the watercolor soaks up the coloring. Now, if you missed a spot, like I did in a couple areas, you just re-wet the foil and keep lifting the color up until you're satisfied with the coverage on the sheet. So you're going to keep going until your sheet is fully covered or as covered as you would like it to be. I love this method because it's non-toxic, it's safe for hands, and cleanup is super easy. Everything just wipes right off with water. Now, just a tip and something that I learned along the way, adding color directly to the paper won't blend the same way if you're using Crayola markers. It tends to bleed instead of move. Using the foil transfer gives you that beautiful, soft watercolor look. Now let's add a bit of blue. It complements the orange perfectly because blue is the complement to orange, and it makes everything pop. It's so pretty. Look at that. Really nice. Here are the 4 sheets I made. I think this one's my favorite. Now they're still a little damp, so I'm going to let them dry overnight before we start cutting out our circles. Now that they're dry, look how beautiful they turned out. The colors are even softer and more blended. To shape our pumpkins, I'm using a circle die set, but you can easily use anything circular you have on hand. A cup, a lid, whatever you have, trace around it and cut out your circles. I was able to get about 16 circles total. Next, I'm going to score or fold each circle in half. I like to use a scoreboard to make sure the fold lines are nice and even since this paper is a little bit thicker. And remember, when you fold, always fold away from the scored line. I learned that trick from Carol Duvall. You want the circle to open up like this. Now to add a little character, I'm distressing the edges with Rusty Hinge Distress Ink. Just go around the perimeter and lightly down the center fold. It gives the pumpkin more depth and a pretty aged look. Now let's put it all together. So you're going to take one folded circle and apply glue to one side. Add another folded circle right on top so the folded edges line up evenly. Keep stacking and gluing each one until you've built a full stack of half moons. You can use double-sided tape, but I prefer liquid glue here. It gives you more working time to line everything up before it dries. Once everything is evenly stacked, place a heavy object like a watercolor pad on top while the glue sets so it dries evenly. When it's dry, glue the 2 end pieces together like this so that the 2 sides meet. And that completes your full 3D pumpkin shape. And for the stem, I am actually using some pumpkin stems. So anytime that you go to the pumpkin patch, there are a lot of just dead stems that have fallen off the pumpkin. And I collect these every year. So I just have a little bit of a stash going on. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick one of them. Just add a dab of hot glue into the top of your paper pumpkin and press the stem in place. For further stability of the pumpkin, I punched out 4 small circles from leftover scraps, glued them together one on top of the other, inked the edges with the same Rusty Hinge Distress Ink, and that becomes the pumpkin's base. Then hot glue the base to the bottom of your pumpkin. And that's it. Here's how mine turned out. I placed them in my Gilmore Girls inspired corner of my craft room, and they fit in perfectly. Crayola markers, inexpensive watercolor paper, and a few saved pumpkin stems. That's all it takes to make the sweetest little fall decor pieces you'll bring out year after year. You could even create a whole mini pumpkin patch for your home. I hope you give this project a try. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more creative, budget-friendly crafts. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Take care and happy crafting. Bye, friends.